Thank you for joining us for today's conversation with Daniel Worthington. I am Ardell Fleeson, Lifestyle Specialist for Independent and Assisted Living at Fairhaven. I'd love to tell you all about Fairhaven. Today we're hearing all about real estate and the sale and the decision to move forward with RE/MAX Realtor Daniel Worthington, who'll introduce himself. Daniel, who are you?
Well, thank you for letting me be here with you all this morning. I'm Daniel Worthington with RE/MAX Real Estate. I've been an agent for 14 years. And looking forward to sharing some thoughts on real estate with you.
We're so happy that you're here.
Thank you.
Tell us a few success stories recently. What's this market like? What's the COVID done to your business? Good or bad? What do you see out there?
Well, it's a fantastic market if you're a seller. It's a difficult market if you're a buyer. The inventory is really low, so even before the virus, the inventory was low, which made it a great seller's market. But then once the virus came and the government reduced the rates, then it became explosive. It was really amazing. But just to give you a quick history on the inventory and how it impacts the market, back in 2010, we probably had about 13,000 homes on the market for sale, and now there's only about 3,500 or 4,000.
In the greater Birmingham area?
Greater Birmingham area.
Wow.
So it's just really come down a lot, which goes back to supply versus demand. Yeah, so the best thing would be if you're a seller, you're in the best market you've been in probably 15 or 20 years. Because the inventory is so low. So even before the virus, the inventory was low. It was a great seller's market. And then once they reduced the rates, then it became even more explosive of a seller's market.
What are the rates right now?
Below 3.
Below 3?
Below 3.
I mean, I think that's Eisenhower times, right?
Right.
I mean, they weren't even there in the 50s, so they're really
That's probably true.
So one of my big questions for you is, how do you know when you've got the right price?
It's a great question. So that's always the big dilemma is, well, what price do you put it at? Because understandably and naturally, everybody, whenever they sell anything, a car, house, clothes, they want to get as much money as they can. So when somebody calls me and says, hey, Daniel, I'd like to talk to you about selling my home, at that moment, obviously, I have no clue what their home is worth. So then I go to work and do some research and find out what other similar homes, what they've sold for, and that's what you call the comparables. And so that's our guide. That's our initial guideline. So that helps us not to list too high to where it takes 3 years to sell, or too low to where you sell it below what you could have sold it for and sold for less money. So everybody naturally wants to get that sweet spot, which is the market value of the home. So you use those comps to get started, but then after you put it on the market, those comps almost don't matter because it just all depends on the market of buyers and how they respond to the house. So if they're not coming, again, we were in a low end inventory, hot sellers market. So if they're not coming, then the market is more knowledgeable now than they've ever been because there's so much publicly available information on Zillow and all these different websites. So everybody has a general idea what they think something's worth. And so if they don't come, then there's a good possibility that home was overpriced or maybe overpriced for its condition, because condition determines price. So the home that's brand new or fully renovated, well, obviously that's going to get a higher price than the 1970s home that's not been updated.
What is the best way for a seller to prepare their home for sale? What's your best advice to somebody at that point?
So one of the ways I like to explain it is that there are 3 primary factors that impact the sale of your home the most. Like there's a lot of different ones, like your neighborhood or general area of town, but we can't control most of those, right? So we could come up probably a list of 10 or 15 things. But it really boils down to the market conditions, which again, we're in a strong seller's market, we have low inventory. So the market, the condition of the property, and then the price. Like we said earlier, condition really determines the price. So, but I would say hire an experienced real estate agent because they're your tour guide through the process, through the transaction. You're not going to go on a safari to Africa without hiring a tour guide, right? So it's the same for a real estate agent. The ones who are being hired and paid to help direct and guide somebody through this process. So that's what I would say is hire the right real estate agent. Have your home in as good a condition that you're willing to do it because, again, from a purchaser's perspective, so yes, somebody's a seller, but you kind of occasionally need to put on that buyer's hat to say, what is the buyer's perspective on this process? And let's say 50% of it is logical, what area of town, what price range, things like that. But 50% of it is emotional, and it's desirability. So everybody wants to like the car they buy, they want to like the clothes they buy, they want to like the home that they buy. They want to love the home that they buy. And so the best condition that you can get your home in, and then price it accordingly.
If you had $10,000 to put into the improvement of your home, and that's all you had, where would you put how much of it and where?
The majority of it in your kitchen. So kitchens and bathrooms, they say, sells homes, because everything else is walls and flooring, right? So you would like to have an updated, most buyers these days would like to already have that updated kitchen or that updated bathroom.
I advise, and our industry, senior living, advises our potential residents to don't sell your house. It's too much upheaval. Move into independent living at Fairhaven. See if you like it. You always have your house to go back to. There's always that there. And the time will come when you'll feel in your heart, we don't need it anymore. We're fine here. Or if it's not a fit for you in what we call congregant living in the industry now, then you can go back to your home. And Daniel will take a listing in the future for that sort of thing. Listings are whatever you want them to be as you discuss it with your realtor and test against your realtor's reality. And I strongly recommend that you don't say, I need to sell my house and move to a place like that, because that is such a daunting barrier that nobody ever gets over it. So do you have any thoughts on that?
Absolutely. I'm glad you brought that up, because even for people who aren't seniors, if you are in a position, if anybody's in a position to go buy the next house and then, or move into a senior living community and then sell their current home, that just takes the stress level down by 90%, because otherwise the senior is operating under this tight time frame to have to move everything out in a 30 or 45 day period, and that can be incredibly stressful. So if anybody's in a position to be able to move to their next location then at their time frame and a lower stress level, declutter their home, get it set up, have their estate sale, whatever it is they want to do, that's so much a better experience than being stressed and having to do it under a tight time frame.
Daniel, I'd love to know what motivation your senior clientele seems to have in common. What's getting them going?
Yeah, so I would say probably two answers to that. One would be naturally they want to get as much money as they can through the sales process. But in terms of a move, they're generally downsizing. So whether that's to a smaller home, whether that's to a senior living community, it's a downsizing decision typically.
Thank you so much, Daniel.
Absolutely.
You have one parting thought for us? One more thing to say?
Good luck. It's not as, it seems like a difficult process, but it really isn't. It's a really straightforward, simple process if you aren't stressed, you're not in this tight time frame. And so I think you'll have a good experience.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.